This is episode 8. Yay,
Hello,
us.
friends. Yes, episode 8.
We made it to episode 8, and
We're almost to double digits.
oh my god. Do you remember how important it was to hit double digits as a kid? You're like, I have to
Yes.
use 2 numbers to write down my age.
Yes.
It's very important.
When you hit double digits, that's like the last year that you can use your fingers to show how old you are.
It's right. It's like, listener.
Yes.
And then, I mean, you're double digits for most likely the rest of your life. I mean, very few of us make it to the triples.
That's true. Your grandma did, though.
She sure did. That's right.
She did. 101.
That's right. 101. No Dalmatians. Not a single Dalmatian in her entire life. That's fine.
Oh, it's
But
fine.
yes, welcome to episode number 8 of Brunch and Judge.
8. Can't believe it.
Yeah, 8.
8 weeks.
You've been listening to us for 8 weeks. Or maybe you haven't, but maybe you have. We've been listening to each other for 8 weeks.
I was going to say, if you have been listening to us for 8 weeks, we really appreciate you.
Yes, you are our favorite. Please send us an email and tell us so that we can say your name for being our favorite.
Yes, and we'll put you on the wheel of fate. Send us a topic, and we'll stick it on there.
Send us topics. Oh, hey, I'm your host, April.
And I'm the other host, Claire.
The best host is Claire. You're correct. Mm-hmm.
The best host. And if you notice, we're coming to you with the nighttime edition of the show.
Say, welcome. Wait, watch
we're
this.
Doing vampires.
That's right. Watch. Are you ready? Are you ready? Watch this. Truly nighttime edition.
She just leans back. She's in the dark.
It's right. There is. Oh, I have to be close, or the light won't hit me, and I'm in like partial.
Find your light. It's like being on stage. Find your light.
It's like, it's here. It's here. No, not you. Okay. Here. There it is. Found it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. All right. So Claire, what are you judging this week?
I don't know that I'd really settled on anything. Like I had a couple things I was tossing around, but my boyfriend and I just got back from the movies. And so I'm judging just people in general because
Well, that's mostly who we judge, but yes,
I know,
go ahead.
but like a collective group of people. First of all, okay, we got there a little bit early, sit down with our popcorn. This one's got assigned seats, okay?
Right,
So
sure.
Brandon got us seats on the aisle. He was on the aisle, and then I was on the next one in.
You're right, because you want to be able to get out in an emergency. Or if the movie sucks and you want to be free. It's fair.
Yes. Minimal disturbance. That's what we're about. And we're on the aisle, and movie hadn't actually the previews, because I got really excited because it was a preview for the new Spider-Verse movie.
Oh,
the Miles
sure.
Morales. Yeah, the Miles Morales cartoon one. I really liked the first one.
Yes. That's actually one of the first movies I watched with Spencer.
Yeah, and so they were their preview for the sequel, and I got really excited because it was like had this little thing come on the screen that looked like the comic book, and I was like, "Oh, is this what I think it is?" And then I heard the Sunflower song that he sings in the first one, and I'm like, "Yes,
right.
that's that." Yeah. So I'm watching it, and like out of nowhere, this Karen comes up, and she's standing next to Brandon, and she like verbally accosts him, and she's like, "Are these y'all seats?"
Oh my god.
I have to give props to Brandon because he was just like calm, but he just like jerked his head and he was like, "No, ma'am, we have seats C15 and 14." And it was just like, she's like, "Well, I'm in 13." And I'm thinking, well, then that's right next to me.
Oh.
There's one that's empty. But it was like, somebody was in their seats. So then, this woman, she's actually on the board with me at the theater, works at the community theater, but she works her job is at the movie theater.
Oh,
And
theater.
Michelle,
Nice.
yes, she's all about theater. It was Michelle, and she's a manager, like an assistant manager at this theater now. And so she comes in with her flashlight, and she's like all through the previews talking to people, asking. And of course, I told Brandon, I said, "Do you love how Michelle didn't even ask us to see our tickets?"
Right.
And she just like, you
She's
know,
like, I know y'all know how to find your seats,
right? And so
Uh,
she's like asking, and she walks down the aisle, and she's all the way at the other end of the theater by this point, and she's, asking people to see their tickets, and apparently nobody was in the right fucking seat.
except for you two.
Yes, it was insanity. So we're watching, they finally start the movie about, I don't know, 7 to 10 minutes of actual movie time, not counting previews. 7 to 10 minutes in of actual movie time, the movie just stops. And they have another guy come in, and he's like, "Everybody needs to be in the seat that's on your ticket." And I thought, "Holy shit. Did we literally just stop a movie because people don't know how to find their seats?" I was just like, Brandon and I were just looking at each other like, what is happening? Why can't this like everything else tonight had gone smoothly except for this? Because literally the entire time that this is going on, that woman, that Karen, is
Yeah.
like standing like right next to Brandon. Like we're sitting down, and she's like literally like standing there. And it's like they're just waiting for something to happen. And finally the guy, like, they didn't turn the lights on, but they just stopped the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like everybody needs to be it, because I mean the movie was fairly full. I mean, it was in a smaller theater. It wasn't
Right.
like the movie theater's biggest theater, but it was, but still, I mean, I feel like as far as like being filled up, it was almost sold out. I feel like it was insane. I was
I guess
like, why? Why
what
why can people not read? Why can people not find their seats? Yeah,
what
because
I
they
don't
tell
understand
you.
is like, okay, so cool, right? I mean, it's happened to me. I've been in places where I'm like, I think you're in my seat. But I just say
Right,
to the person, I'm sorry, I think you're in my seat. And
right.
95% of the time they go, oh, I'm sorry. And then they move. I don't care where they go after that, but they go somewhere else. So why didn't they just move?
Right? So then it was like at one point there was the seat next to me was empty, and then the seat next to it had like I think it was like a father, and then the son was next to him.
Mm
And so Michelle asked to see their tickets, and he immediately says, "These aren't our seats. Somebody was in our seats and they wouldn't move."
hmm.
And so it's just like it just like spiraled. You talk about, oh my gosh, it was like I think half of the theater stood up and moved seats because one or two people sat in the wrong seats, and
And
they
then
just
everybody
kept.
else just adjusted. Wow.
Yes, yes. And
Okay,
I was
so
just like, good grief.
I mean, I can't I'm not that personality that's like, "Oh, well, I guess I'll just sit somewhere else then." I'd be like, "You're in my seat. You have to go somewhere else. I don't care if you're not in your seat because someone else is there. That's your problem. This is my seat. Go. Shoo scat." I think the thing that makes me insane is that as you're telling me this, I'm having flashbacks to like elementary school or
Right.
um overnight trips or trips that you're going with like a sports team or for me academic
Yeah.
team nerd um
Nerd
and it's
team.
like it's dark and something's happening so they have to like turn the lights on and be like, get in your seats and blah 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 blah.
Yes.
So I'm like, ugh,
It was like
that's
hand check,
gross.
you
Hand
know.
check. I'm
For like
like,
traveling with soccer. I always like just randomly, if you're coming back really late at night, they
mm-hmm.
turn the lights on the bus and just be like, hand check. So dumb.
I remember that a kid on whatever trip we were on, I want to say it was a choir trip, and I swear his name was Brad, but I don't actually know. It's been too long.
But you won't swear to it.
I won't swear to it, but I swear his name was Brad. Or, yeah, Brad. We'll go with Brad. And it was like a hand check, kind of as a joke, like, because
Oh
I don't
yeah.
think most teachers really, truly cared. And I kind of want to say that it had to be a choir trip, and I think Roger Wright was on the choir trip as like an extra chaperone because he was being nice. I don't know, and I think he did it, and Brad was sitting like in the seat behind me, and he's like, "You can see my hands, but you'll never know where my feet are." And I'm like, "Oh."
Oh God. Oh Lord. I can't even. Oh, but then I have another complaint. I'm sitting there watching the movie. Of course, this movie's 3 hours long. All right.
Which I
Three
can't
hours.
handle. We've already discussed how we'll have to take an intermission and watch it,
Three
like,
hours and
live stream
five
here.
minutes. Like
No.
literally 3 hours and 5 minutes.
God, no.
I personally liked it. It felt like a Criminal Minds episode to me. Like it was dark and gritty and felt very true crimey, and I loved it.
Oh, well, then maybe I'll give it a chance.
It was like a big detective, because it's like they had the Riddler with the riddles, and it was just like, ooh, this is different. And I give what's his face Robert Pattinson props because I feel like he did a good job. I
Well,
you know
I'm hopeful. So, you know how, like, you can't see well, I can't. I don't know about you. I can't see Hannibal Lecter in any kind of a movie without just assuming he's a bad guy
Oh
because
yeah, 100%.
I said Hannibal Lecter, didn't I? That's not
You
what I meant.
did.
It proves my
That's not
point.
what you meant.
Anthony Hopkins. It proves the point. Every time I see Anthony Hopkins in a
See?
movie, I'm expecting him to be a bad guy because he is Hannibal Lecter. Like, he was
Yes.
just so excellent at that role that's just where my brain
Yeah.
goes. So even if it's not a scary movie and there are zero bad guys in the movie, I expect him to be a bad guy. So,
And I mean, because he does bad guys. And there are
and
certain
yeah.
people that they seem like they always play like this douchey bad guy character.
Well, or that
Always.
they have a type, but it doesn't even matter because in this case, it's not that Rob Pattinson played such a great character and is just so memorable that I can't separate him. It's that he played such a horrifically stupid character that was absolute trash. Not his fault. I mean, like, he's an
he
excellent
had to pay the
actor, and I
bills.
will say that. But, like, I
He
can't.
had to pay the
I
bills.
I get that, but, like, still, still, he
April
I
can't forgive him for
can't.
Twilight.
I can't forgive him for being in Twilight, which, I'm gonna be honest, the books were trash. Fine, fine, fine. The movies were trash in a completely different way that just hurts
Yes.
me. I don't know that I even saw the entire first movie, but it left such a bad taste in my mouth, Kristen Stewart, that, like, I just can't watch these people in anything without immediately being like, you were horrific in this movie. Even if you were playing the character well, it was such a terrible, stupid character that I can't. I want him to get away from that, but I don't know if I'm there yet. I just don't know if I'm
I
there
don't
yet, Claire.
He's done other things, and he did this I mean, I feel like yeah. I mean, I thought he did a good job. I
Well,
felt
I
like
mean,
everybody, because
we'll see.
this had like a lot of people, had John Turturro,
Mm-hmm.
Colin Farrell. Yes, Farrell, not Firth.
Yeah.
I always like say the wrong one, Colin Farrell. I mean, it was
You just call him Firthel. Call him Firthel.
yeah.
That way you're
Yes.
right either way. It's fine.
That one of those Skarsgård people, not the British ones, but the other
The
ones.
the other ones. Oh god,
Yeah.
it's so no, so much, so much. I'm here for you.
Not the British one, but the other one. Anywho.
uh, well, it sounds
Oh,
like
jeez.
you had an excellent start to your movie.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Um,
no, like, but then it's like halfway through, the guy next to me starts snoring.
yeah.
I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Like,
You're
you're
like,
not
dude, go home. Oh, he was there with his kid though, right?
Well, no, these people had
No.
moved. I think
Oh,
this
those people
guy
moved,
was,
right.
like, part of the Karen troop
Well,
that
then you know why he's
verbally
taking a
accosted
snooze.
Brandon.
You know why he's snoozing. He's like, I don't get to sleep at home, guys. I'm sorry. I gotta.
Probably. It's still just like, wow, this has been an experience.
Well, and
Great.
you know what they call a group of Karens, don't you?
What's that?
A complaint.
Ah, it's true. It
That's
is
my favorite.
100% true. And it was just like, it felt like they kept getting, because part of them were sitting behind us. I just felt like they just kept getting up and leaving. And I'm like, but I'm one of those people, it's like, I mean, Brandon paid for the movie, but usually, if I pay for it or whatever, it's like, by God, I'm not getting up. I'm going to watch every second of this movie. I don't care how bad I have to pee. I'm one of
Oh
those
no. See,
people.
if I'm committing to a 3-hour movie, like in a theater, like I've got my popcorn, I've got
Yes.
my candy that I probably snuck in because candy,
Yes.
but I've
Right.
got my giant soda because I'm always thirsty, and so by the time I get to halfway through the movie, I gotta pee, and I don't care what the movie's about. My bladder is always more important.
I think
Don't
it's
let
just
that
because
Seth
I have
just like sit there. You
the
gotta go.
biggest bladder on the planet. I can hold it for forever. But anyway,
You know,
so
we all
that's
have
my
our talents.
judge. Yes, we do. Yep.
That's a great judge. I will always judge people who can't manage the most basic tasks
I
of
know. I was just like,
like
what?
adulthood of,
Yeah,
finding your seat. It's
I know. It's like, what's happening right now? What is
uh
this?
it's annoying.
But anyway, so what is your judge this week?
So my judge, I wasn't really sure what I was going to judge today cuz it's
Sounds
been
like you were
a
in the same boat
longish,
as me.
stressful kind of week, just
Mhm.
work life, no big deal. Um
I agree.
Today was day 6 of my work week.
Nice.
But luckily today was it was a workshop that we were doing at the library, and it was so this I inherited this project from my predecessor who left. So you
Oh,
never
I
know what you're going to
love that kind
get
of stuff.
when you inherit
Yeah.
things.
You don't know where they're
Um
at. They're on
and
it, and yeah.
you know, I'll be honest, one of the people in the triad that I exist that I guess it's actually a quad, but it's really a triad because the one person sucks and is never capable of doing anything. And so that's a nightmare. But my artists that are part of this project are the most amazing, kind, generous human beings that have ever walked on this planet. And I love them. And I'm so grateful that they are such
Well, that's
good people.
good. I
Yes,
mean,
there's authentically good, nice people. So, and talented artists. So who knew? Who knew you could have it all? So they came today to teach an all-day workshop on weaving. So we made cardboard looms and learned how to weave like a rug, a carpet, kind of a thing.
okay.
Super basics, just lines. No special designs because it's hard. And
Nice.
it was total beginners. Um in fact, I'm going to show you my finished project. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
Here it is.
Yay.
It's a little teeny tiny rug. It's basically a coaster. It took me 5 hours to make it, so
Nice.
but in that journey, he very kindly, our main artist, his daughter was there helping too. She's also a talented artist in her own right. They were talking. They hand dye all of their yarn that they use, all and it's all wool.
Okay.
It's
Gotcha.
using natural dyes, and they have, I mean, beautiful colors. You can kind of tell in this, like these are like beautiful jewel tone colors. You
Yeah.
can't even see how bright they are because it's really a teal and not a blue. Like it's a nice bright
Okay. Yeah,
teal
because
and,
it
and
kind
like
of
a
looks a
raspberry red. It's beautiful. They're beautiful.
okay.
Um, so they were showing cochineal, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Mhm.
And so they had like the bits and pieces of cochineal, which if you don't know what that is, it's bugs. cochineal's
Oh,
bugs.
okay.
So it's like the
Okay.
outer casing of bug shells or something of a specific cochineal bug. I don't know if that's actually the name of the bug, but and they use that. They grind it up, and when you add water to it, it's a beautiful bright red color. If you add, we added lime juice to it, and it turned it into this like rusty orange. It's beautiful.
Ooh,
Then they added baking soda to it, and it turned it in this gorgeous purple. Like it's magic.
nice.
And
That sounds
so
fun.
it was
I'm
really fun,
jealous.
and it was a really cool like little demonstration. And I was like, "This is great. That's so amazing." And he was like, "Yeah." And so then his daughter, bless her. I'm sorry, I'm having a traumatic moment. So then his daughter is saying that they use cochineal as natural colors for foods. So when things say, with natural coloring, things like cranberry juice or strawberry yogurt, those were the two examples they gave. It's colored with cochineal. Bugs.
Okay.
You're drinking and eating bugs. And I'm sitting there going, "Ooh."
Okie dokie. Noted.
So
Noted.
I, being the best daughter that has ever been on this planet, send a
Yes.
picture of my half finished little teeny tiny rug coaster to my family, who
Yes.
up to this point had been celebrating Austin's rowing team has won 2 gold medals, and they're going to be going
Okay.
to state. So very exciting.
Cool.
So I send them a little picture of my little half rug, and I'm like, I'm doing a little rug today. Isn't it cute? And they're all like, that's so cute. And then I send them pictures of cochineal pieces. You can't tell
Yeah.
what it is. And my mom's like, oh, well, what is that? And it's like, it's bugs. And then I
Nice.
tell them, about
And
the
then you burst
natural
their
food
bubble.
coloring of bugs. And my mom, who is in her mid 70s, texts back, TMI.
What?
And I was like, one, I didn't know my mom knew that. Like, just like off the cuff to be like, well, that's TMI.
Jackie.
Two, I never imagined that my mom would find that weird or bizarre or offensive in any
No.
way, because she's got all those creepy dead bugs in the office at home that she made my
Like,
brother do as a
like,
kid.
I know. Like, come on, Jackie. You're a science teacher. You should know how these things work.
But I text back because it was like our Keith family text group, and so I text back and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I decided if I have to know about this, everybody else has to know about it too.
I
I cannot
mean,
suffer alone.
right. It's true. It is true.
So,
Just let it go.
so my judge today is that, I'm mostly vegetarian.
Yeah.
I still eat significant meat, really, but like I
Yeah.
tend to not eat meat as a rule. Now I have to be
Yeah.
careful about my cranberry juice and my strawberry yogurt, because obviously that red food coloring is meat
It's
in the
your
creepiest,
it's your
nastiest way.
protein. Yeah, it's your protein.
So there you go, guys. Enjoy those cran apples you like so much. And what is it? Cranberry and vodka? What's
Yay.
that drink? Is it just cranberry and vodka?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I know lots of you like that. Well, you're drinking bugs. You're welcome.
Yes.
So that's
Love
my
it.
judge. I think she's like 16 or 17. His daughter. I'm like, a teenager destroyed my life today by telling me
Thanks.
what red food coloring that's natural actually is. I'm like, maybe I want the toxicity of red number 12. Like,
Right.
at least
You're
it's
like,
not bugs.
you're just like, I was today years old when I discovered.
I'm like, ugh. Well, and my favorite was that everyone's reaction was, "You mean cranberries aren't red enough?" And they're like, "No, they're not really that red at all. Like, it's a juice.
Wow.
Like, it's not that bright of a red." And then they're
Do
telling,
you
I
use
forgot
in
what they
the
told me. Like, if you look on the ingredients, it'll say things
ah,
that actually mean cochineal, and I'm like,
great.
so
Well, I'm gonna have to spread this knowledge too because it's like if I have to be disgusted,
That's right.
everybody needs to be
It's like, if
disgusted with
I
me.
have to know about this, then everybody else has to know about this. I can't be left alone with this knowledge. It's not fair.
100. Yeah. No. Absolutely.
We
I
must
agree.
all be scarred together,
That's right.
drinking my
Hair of the
non-Cochinelle
trauma.
hot
That's
cocoa.
right. Yes. Oh, I love it. That's an excellent judge. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
enlightening us to
I like
this.
to share my
Yeah.
trauma. It's very important to me.
Yes. I get it. Awesome. Yay. All right. Well, guys, the Wheel of Fate has decided that we're talking about vampires this week.
That's
So,
right.
which I mean, not gonna lie, huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan back in the day.
Yeah, I never
The TV show,
I
not
never
the
really watched
movie.
that. Hmm.
Oh,
But I
I
will
was
tell
in it.
you, we're on like a legacies. I don't know what we're on a legacies binge, and if you're not up to date, spoiler, but literally it's on all of the interwebs, and we're absolutely like half a season behind because we wait till it's on Netflix. Hope is now a tribred, and she is a vampire, so she's all like vamping it up, killing people. I think I don't know. It cut off because she's
I don't
all
watch this show and I don't know
turning
what any
off
of
her
that
human
means.
emotions. Well, did you ever watch like I think it was the Vampire Diaries back in the 2000s? I'm trying to remember when that was on, but
Not really.
well,
Because I think it was
that's where it
on that
started.
one, what was it, CW or one of those stations
Yeah.
that we didn't get. That was one of those weird ones where it started out
Mhm.
as like WB and then, which is why
One never
Buffy and
knows
all
what
that.
channel that is anymore.
Yeah, I know.
But, vampires, they suck blood and kill people. It's pretty
That
basic
indeed,
vampire lore.
that indeed they do. So yeah, all right, April, I think it's your turn to start.
That's right. I get to go first in Vampire Week.
You
Yay.
do.
It's like
Hooray!
I just knew that we were talking about like red things, so I brought Cochinelle in with you, with me.
There, yes, awesome. I love it. So yeah, we got the nighttime edition of Brunch and Judge with
That's right.
me looking kind of like a vampire with this light.
I have to
Like,
say, I look less shiny and pale because there's
oh, I just
darkness
look like
around me.
I'm so white. It's like I glow.
I'm
I
like,
really
I
do
can
look like
see
a
my nose.
vampire.
Sometimes I'm so shiny and white in our recording that like you can't tell where my nose is.
Oh gosh, you're probably like, "Ew, no, where'd it go?
And
It's still
I'm
there."
like trying to color correct, and I'm like, nah, I can't fix this.
I know. Yeah, there's no
Nah.
there's no saving this. Yeah.
Well,
All right.
for Vampire Week, I have brought you the story of the New England vampire panic of 1892.
New England.
You've never heard of it, have you?
It's Tom Brady. No, I'm kidding.
Well, hey, if you
Tom Brady is
recall,
actually a vampire.
our very first episode, Throwing Back, I did
Yes,
say that he was a vampire and he sucked out the life force from teenage girls.
you did.
I said
You
that
did.
Tom Brady is a vampire.
You did. This is proof. 100%.
So I'd like to edit my title and say the New England Vampire Panic of 2022.
That's right.
Or whenever he was like 2019? 2018?
I get yes.
I don't know. I don't care. Okay.
Whatever that last year was, we don't care.
So we're going to go back to Exeter, Rhode Island, the smallest state in the United States of America.
It's tiny.
Tiny. So the year's 1892, but we're actually going to go earlier in order to set it all
Okay.
up.
Gotta set
So
the scene.
we're in Exeter. We're meeting George and Mary Brown, and they
Okay.
have a nice large family. They're doing their late
As they did back
1800s life.
yeah.
Doing
As they did
doing the
back
thing.
then.
And
Apparently having big families, that was a deal.
it's true. And the other thing that happened a lot in the late 1800s was consumption.
Ah. Yes. Tuberculosis.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
I love the TV. But I
Right.
love that it was consumption. It's my favorite, like, old-timey illness. In every movie that you watch that is, like, historical anytime before, like,
Oh, they've always got
1940,
it.
there you see someone coughing, and when they put the handkerchief in their hand to cough, you're like, "Oh,
Uh-huh.
oh, it's gonna be
It's
consumption.
it's
There's
it's
gonna be
gonna
blood
have
on that
blood.
thing." Mhm,
Yep.
and you're always like, "Oh, they're gonna die."
Yep. It is. I mean, you're not wrong. It is like
I'm
once they
not
get that
wrong.
handkerchief out, they start coughing, you're like, "Oh, it's over.
Well, and
It's done."
because, like, up until that point when they cough, they don't have a handkerchief. They're just coughing, and you're like, "Oh, they're coughing."
Yes.
And you're like, "Is it gonna be consumption? I don't know.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
it
know." And then they
sure
get
is.
the handkerchief, you're like, "Oh, oh, it's gonna be consumption."
Like, "Oh, there it is."
But so, consumption hits, George and Mary Brown's family. And Mary, the mom, her name is Mary Eliza. She is the first to die because consumption killed like 80% of the people who got it. So, like,
Yeah.
mostly you just died if you got it.
Yeah.
But
You're
they don't know
screwed.
all this yet. They're still
Yeah.
uninformed. But so
Right. Uninformed.
she dies first in 1883. And then about 6 months later, their eldest daughter, also named Mary.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know.
not confusing at all.
I know. Mary Olive. I don't understand.
Okay.
She died. She was 20 years old at the time, so sad. Um, and then they're sad. They've lost mom. They've lost oldest daughter who did the other mommy things, I suppose, because
Yeah.
you know how it goes.
Like, filled in for the mom, yeah.
It's like they're minus two Marys. Everybody's sad.
That's right.
Um,
Were there other daughters named Mary as well?
no,
Everybody
thank
was named
God.
Mary.
No,
That way it was
thank
just
God.
easy, and they didn't have to remember anybody's name. Everybody had the same name. It's
Everybody has
fine.
the same name. Mary. No other Mary. No, the other Mary.
Right, yes.
Okay, so Mary Olive, she has died. It's 1884, and everybody's sad. But then, like, things seem to kind of quiet down for a bit, and they kind of go on, Daddy Dear and the other kids, and so, but then the other daughter, her name is Mercy.
Oh, we're mixing it up now, I see.
Well, got to keep with the M theme, but
That's true.
a little
'Cause,
different.
Mercy and Mary.
Mercy, Mercy. So
Yeah.
Mercy, she ends up coming down with consumption, as does the son, the
So this is
one
like back
son.
this literally is like Oprah, like, "You get
Yeah,
consumption and you get
yeah.
consumption. Everybody gets
Everybody gets
consumption."
consumption. Yeah. But then the son Edwin also starts getting sick, and everybody's all sad.
Man,
It's like, oh no, this is bad. Yada yada.
everybody's dying.
But then Mercy does die. This is 1892 at this point.
Okay.
So it's been like 8 years, but it's kind of a wasting disease. You tend to get sick and it takes a long time before it like super
Yeah,
kills you.
it's not like a immediate kinda thing.
Yeah. So she dies, but Edwin is still alive, but he's wasting away.
Yeah.
So, like, he's been sick for like 2 years, and everybody's all sad. He's all thin and weak. And, the three daughters died, and they're like, whatever. But
They're like,
not,
what
not the son, not Edwin,
I know.
not the babies, Edwin, that they love more than all the daughters, because sons are worth more than daughters. Oh, the
Females are
misogyny.
disposable.
They so are. So he's all like struggling to breathe and coughing up blood. Your very typical
Yes.
historical set piece.
Yep.
And so, because he's the most loved, he gets to go to Colorado Springs, Colorado, to try and get cured.
Uh-huh.
All the while, this is like Mercy's still actively dying. By the way, they're both sick at the same time.
They should have
Mercy
just
eventually
sent them.
succumbs, but Mercy stays home to die and be sick
Well,
and
they
miserable.
should
But
have sent them
Edwin goes to
to the
Colorado.
TB hospital in Mammoth Cave. Or they should have sent them.
I don't know. Colorado sounds nice. It's like you go, it's same concept. You're in the nice clean air and you're drinking some mineral waters, to cure you, make you feel all
Yeah.
better. But so he spends a year and a half there, and different accounts say different things. Some say he wasn't getting better and he got homesick, so he went home. Others say he seemed to be doing better, wasn't quite so sick, and decided to go
Yeah.
back home. Either way, he goes back home after a year and a half. Whether he's better or not better, your your guess is as good as mine. So when he does get back home, he does get more sick because
Oh, okay.
it's consumption.
Yeah.
It doesn't just go away.
Yeah.
And so friends and other family that's not dear old George, the dad,
Mhm.
were convinced that there was something supernatural that was causing him to be sick. His two
Uh,
sisters had died, his mom had died, but
'Cause
he's
you
the
can't
boy.
just have a disease. You just can't have you like, "Oh, I've got a disease." It has to be a thing.
Well, and so apparently in the late 1800s, because people didn't understand the concept of germs and viruses
Oh,
and all
yeah.
that
Oh, I
stuff,
know.
which
Yeah.
fair. So they try and come up with their own like idea. And one of the ideas of the time is that if you are slowly wasting away, like you're sick and you're just slowly getting weaker and weaker, it's because one of your previously quote unquote dead family members is in fact not dead and is a vampire.
I mean, that's fair.
Of course.
But,
Of
like,
course it is.
them not having the technology and the knowledge that we have now, I feel like that could have been a fair assessment back in the day.
I guess my thought is okay, maybe vampire, but like that it's one of your quote unquote dead, not dead family members.
Yeah.
I think that's where they
It's
lose
only
me.
because like, you can only turn
Because
family
I'm
members into
like,
vampires.
so these well-meaning friends and family are convinced that Edwin is caught between heaven and hell, and that
Okay.
one of his dead family members is literally sucking the life out of him from beyond the grave.
Well.
Literally used in the correct way.
Okay.
So,
Um,
what you gonna do? So they
it's like
they they persuade George, they persuade Dad that he needs to have the bodies of his dead wife and daughters exhumed.
let them be. Let them rest.
And I'm just kind of like,
They're
okay.
tired.
I'm trying to figure out if you're George. Thank God his name's George, by the way. If you're George,
Yeah.
and like he's not really into this thought, he's kind of like that seems a little bit crazy. But he has all these people who's like, you just gotta do it. You gotta check. You just gotta. So he
Yeah.
caves. He's like, all right, whatever. Well, and it's one of those, so like both Marys, Mary Eliza and Mary Olive, have been dead for like 8 years
Yes.
by this point. Mercy has actually only been dead for a couple of months by the time they get to this culminating moment. Like
Okay. Gotcha.
she's still newly dead, I guess.
Newly dead.
So the villagers, the local doctor, and a newspaper reporter, thank you, attended slash exhumed, it's not clear. Because, like, someone had to dig them up.
Yeah.
So, like, they were all there. I'm guessing some people had some shovels. Others were just hanging out and watching. I don't know. But so they exhumed the bodies on March 17th, 1892.
Okay.
Now, again, both Marys dead for a while, so their bodies were quite decomposed by this point.
Yeah.
So
Because they
they're like,
probably didn't have the same kind of like
well, yeah, I don't think they embalmed then. I think
that's
it's
what yeah,
just
embalming, that's the word, yeah.
we just dig a hole and there you go. Mercy, however, because when they find that they're decomposed, like, oh, they're just bones, they're not vampires. False alarm. But they're like,
Yeah.
Mercy, oh, we gotta check her out. She'd been dead for about 2 months. It is winter, I remind you,
Okay.
in New England where it's cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when
How
they
did they
dug,
even bury her? Because I feel like at that point the ground would have been way too hard. If it was winter. Like how do you dig a hole? I feel like the ground
I'm
would have
with
been
you.
frozen.
It's a curious thing. I know that in some traditions, they would burn a fire over top of where they were going to bury someone so that it would thaw the
Ah,
ground. I don't
gotcha.
know that they did this. And again, this also has varying accounts of whether she had been kept in a crypt until the
Well,
ground
that's
was
what also I was
thawed.
gonna be like, was she actually buried or was she like above ground at that
So
point? 'Cause I know that
so
that was a thing too.
there's they're uncertain whether she was in a crypt or if she'd been buried
Okay.
or if she had been in a crypt and then recently buried, like within like the last week or so. I don't know.
Gotcha.
It's anyone's guess,
Didn't
quite honestly.
didn't say. Okay. Gotcha.
But so when they opened up her coffin, they found that she was not on her back like she's supposed to be, like a good dead body's supposed to be, Claire. She was on her side. Cause comfort. I
No.
mean, side sleepers are real. It's fine.
It's a thing.
Her
I'm one of
face
them.
was flush. Like it looked like she had like almost no decomposition. Like nothing had really decayed. Again, I
Okay.
remind you it's winter, but whatever. Her
Right.
hair and her nails appeared to have grown.
Because
And
your hair grows after you die.
that's not true. Actually, it's just that your skin
Does it?
shrinks back, and so it looks like it's grown.
Oh, okay. Gotcha,
I
gotcha,
know, but
gotcha.
either way. But Claire, her hair
Yes.
grew. It grew, okay? It grew.
Like
It
this
grew.
wasn't her skin shrinking back.
No, Claire, because she was laying on her side.
Okay, okay.
Her face was flush, and I'm not even to the most important part. There was still blood in her heart and in her veins.
Did they cut her? Is that how they figured that out?
That's right, they did, because they had to know, because now they know she's a vampire, Claire. She's a
Wow.
vampire, and she is sucking the life out of her dear brother, who she actually hated because he got to go to Colorado and she had to languish to die alone in
I
Rhode Island.
mean, if I was gonna be vengeful after death, I'd want to be a
Fair.
vampire. I'm just saying.
Fair. I mean, obviously, Daddy's favorite, because Edwin got to go to Colorado and she just didn't.
Right?
Whatever.
Yeah. No. If I was gonna be
Whatever.
vengeful after death, I'd want to be a vampire.
I'm just
Because I
saying.
feel like ghosts don't do a whole lot.
I'm just saying. Mom and Dad, I know you're not listening because you don't like this podcast. That's okay. If you are listening and you send Jason to Colorado to try and get better, but let me die in my own filth, I'm going to come back as a vampire, okay? And I'm going to suck his life force. That's what's going to happen.
That's right.
So fair. She's a
Yes.
vampire. Everyone agrees, except for the doctor who's going, this is stupid, guys. This isn't how things work.
Oh, so there's like
He's standing
one
on the
sane
sidelines going,
person.
no. But they're like,
I'm glad there is
vampire!
at least one sane person in this scenario.
I can absolutely imagine like the villagers going, oh, there's blood in her heart. Vampire! And they're like got their
I know,
stakes
right?
in the air, they're shaking their pitchforks.
Right.
Vampire!
And they're like, burn her at the stake.
So, obvi, this means that she is in fact undead, and she
Yes.
is obvi draining Edwin of his life force.
I
It's her
mean,
fault.
yeah,
It's her fault.
that's a fair assessment. Yes.
So, has nothing to do with the fact that she was probably frozen stiff because it's literally winter, but
Right.
whatever.
And
Whatever.
it's like
But
-degrees outside. Yeah.
I cannot explain how she got on her side. That is weird. It's weird. It's a
Yeah.
little weird.
Unless if she was underground, I mean, if they
Earthquake.
like tilted the coffin a certain way,
Eh,
you know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, obviously something
That's
happened,
I don't know.
but it's
Yeah.
just a weird little
Like
oh.
a reasonable logical explanation for that. Like
No,
that's
Claire. Vampire. You got to get on the vampire
okay.
train
Okay. Okay.
because
I will.
immediately the villagers had to take action because there's a vampire.
Yes.
So they gather firewood and they
Uh-huh.
build a bonfire on a pile of rocks that happen to be nearby. Uh, uh,
Because that's
Whatever.
what I do when I'm ready for vengeance is
And
build a bonfire.
yes. Well, I mean that's the best way to get rid of anything supernatural. That's what history taught us. Burn them at the stake.
No.
Yeah.
Burn it to the ground. Yeah.
So they went with tradition because the only way to solve supernatural problems is through tradition.
Yes. Tradition.
And
Tradition.
so
Sorry.
they cut out they cut out Mercy's heart that they've already cut into at this point. They cut it out.
So they're just like, we're done. We're just getting rid of
They
it.
take her heart. They also take her liver. I don't know why. It seemed
That's
weird.
weird.
It's okay.
Although,
Hmm? Hmm?
I don't
Hmm?
know if you recall, there was that like actual vampire disease that causes
Oh, like
people. I can't remember what like the
is,
technical
is it
term.
porphyria or something?
Something
Something
like
with a
that.
P.
Yes. And do you remember that CSI episode?
Yes.
Somebody had it, and it was she used her dog to like to kill the people, like
Mm-hmm.
joggers, these healthy people, and then she would like the dog would kill the person who was jogging, and then she would come behind the dog and like basically do surgery and remove their liver because
Mm-hmm.
their liver had as much like the blood she needed, and then she would grind it up and turn it into protein powder. And then when they went to like search her kitchen, there were only 2 items that, like, popped positive for blood,
Yeah.
and it was the blender and the glass.
Yeah.
And they're
And
like,
you're just like,
"Ew."
ugh.
Yeah. But maybe
Well,
that's
you're
why
gonna love where this is going. Are
I
you?
was just thinking because that was the organ that she took was, like, the liver was one of them because that one had, like,
Hmm.
anywho,
Well, you're gonna
that's
love where
that's
this
where
is
my
going.
brain
You're gonna love this. Are
okay,
you ready?
I'm ready, hit me.
So they take the heart, they take the liver, they burn them because
Okay.
they've built the fire. They take the ashes left from burning the heart and the liver, and they mix it with some water, and then they give it to Edwin to drink.
Why?
Tradition.
Oh my god. I can't.
And so
Tradition. Oh god. Wow. They
tradition
put it in
says
water? That just seems disgusting.
the
Ashy water?
ashes, the
That's
ashes
gross.
of your dead sister's heart and liver mixed with water will stop the influence of the undead, is what it says.
Oh my gosh.
It's magical. It is 100%
I hope
magical.
they lied to him when they gave it to him because I cannot imagine
Are you kidding? He had to totally be.
knowingly drinking that. I mean, that's just like disgusting.
Random villager number 7 comes in, stage left, and he's like, I got you a tonic. Drink it. And he's
I
like,
mean,
I.
yes. Or here, drink this special
Can you,
tea. I mean,
can you
uh
imagine? Like,
no, I
at
can't.
at
I
least,
can't.
like, mix it in rum or something. Like, I mean,
Right?
it's just water and ashes.
Yes, that thing. That's what
It's
it's like. Ew. Like, yeah, literally
Mhm.
put it in something else. Like, that's disgusting.
But
Ew.
so,
Ugh.
the villager, they gave it to him. He drank it somehow. Whether he
I
knew what
started
it
just
was or
saying, did
not, I
he vomited all back up? Because that's what I would have done.
well, and of course, the only thing that could happen did happen. Obviously,
Uh-huh.
he recovered entirely and lived to tell the story for generations after that about how his dead sister was in fact a vampire and
Oh,
that
God.
she was sucking the life force out of him. Or actually, he died 2 months later. Either
I
way.
was gonna say, God tell me that did not happen.
No. No, he of course died because it was consumption and 80% of people die.
Yes.
Well, and it's
Good.
not even that.
I'm glad
Yeah,
this
yeah.
magic potion
You're gonna
of
just die.
ashes and water
Mm.
did not help him. Like, what?
But so
Ew.
after this horrific exhumation, they reburied the rest of Mercy
Ugh.
in a Baptist cemetery. So I sent you some
Oh,
pictures. I don't know if you've seen them. I
I got the
emailed them
email.
to
I
you.
haven't looked at them yet, so.
So the first picture you'll see is Mercy's tombstone, and there's a picture of her next to it. Bless her. Her brother drank her heart and
Right.
liver. Ugh.
That's
Ugh.
disgusting.
I think he's the
Okay.
vampire in this story, quite honestly, if you think about it.
I love this. Believe in vampires.
That's right. I'm getting to that. Are you ready? Okay.
Yes.
So, this story, as I told you, a newspaper reporter was at the exhumation slash
Yeah.
burning of her heart and liver slash probably shoving it down Edwin's throat. So
Yes.
it made it to the newspaper. Shocker.
Of course it did. Yeah. Because
And
that's disgusting.
there, a lot of scholars think that Bram Stoker, when he wrote Dracula, they found copies or editions of the newspaper articles about Mercy Brown in his possession. They think that she was the inspiration and who he based the character Lucy on.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's that. Mercy's
Gotcha.
gravesite now is very popular still because, there's
Yeah.
weirdos like us who'd be like, let's go find her grave.
I mean, that was
Um,
like what when we went to Boston, we're like, let's go find Mother Goose's headstone.
right. And so people like to leave behind little gifts and things, including plastic vampire teeth, which I'm here for.
That's precious.
Um,
I love it.
and someone left a note once that was like, "You go, girl."
Ah, yes.
So there's also a picture of her current, of like some decoration around her tombstone.
Yeah, with the flowers.
We
Yeah.
we remember her and not Edwin. So
Yes.
you really triumphed in that bitter rivalry there.
100%.
But this story of Mercy was not the first time that someone was exhumed out of fear of being a vampire and,
Of
sucking
course
the
it
life force.
wasn't.
Apparently it was a thing in New England. Like there's 18 documented cases in which they exhumed a body and went through, the traditional ritual to try and end
Because,
the undead's attack upon the living.
Americans have been batshit crazy for a long time.
Yes.
This is nothing new.
Let's see. So back in 1799, a woman named Sarah Tillinghast was also exhumed. So for 100 years they were doing this nonsense
Okay,
because
great.
people.
Fantastic.
Um,
Yeah.
my favorite one. Well, and I sent you a little advertisement that appeared
Yeah.
in newspapers in them old times. It says,
Back in the day.
believe in vampires, Rhode Islanders who are sure that they do exist. Instances told of where the living have been attacked and preyed upon by these representatives of an unseen world. A member of the anti-vampire party is walking down the street with, I don't know, something in his hand. It's a really bizarre poster,
It
but
really is.
super into it. But my favorite case that was documented was around the same time as Mercy. It was 1889. A woman in West Greenwich died. Her name was Nellie. And, they thought she was a vampire, yada, yada, yada. They cut her, they did the thing. They cut the heart, they made it
They did the thing.
paste, who knows. But she apparently was vindictive about it because her grave is supposedly cursed.
Yes, queen.
And there
Get on with
was
your bad self.
one of the things I read was a local professor who apparently studied vampirism, whatever, claimed that no vegetation or lichen, how do you say
What?
that? Lichen?
I've heard it lichen.
Moss. We'll go moss.
Yes. Mossy
No
stuff, yes.
vegetation or mossy fungus stuff would grow on the grave despite attempts to plant it there.
Uh-oh.
And even better, her tombstone, good old Nellie's tombstone, has the inscription, "I am waiting and watching for you."
Yes. Love it. I want to bring that kind of energy when I
Right.
pass.
to
That is
my
what I
tombstone.
want.
That's right.
That's the kind of energy I want to take with me when I pass. Like, yes.
And so that is my story of the New England vampire panic of 1892.
Yay.
You're
That's
welcome.
ridiculous, and I loved it.
Oh, and I forgot to say, I got my information from Wikipedia, history.com, allthat'sinteresting.com, and an article from New England Living.
I use that one too. All that's interesting. I got that
Right?
one
Isn't
online.
it? It's like,
It is.
yeah.
I know. It's like,
I was
what?
like, you're right. That is interesting. A
Right.
whole. It's like, it's
Yay.
consumption. No, it's a vampire.
Right.
Vampire.
Well,
That's fine.
my vampire story
Ooh.
kind of takes place around the same time yours does.
Well, of all vampires happened in the 1800s, I'm convinced.
Just about. I mean, from what I'm reading.
I think they
I got
just they like let they let themselves be seen, and then it took 100 years to be like, no, it's just consumption, guys. It's just
right.
tuberculosis.
Well, mine has nothing to do with tuberculosis, so
Ooh.
yes. Got my info from Wikipedia, Nerdist, criminalminds.fandom.com,
LOL.
and yes, and all that's interesting.com.
Yay.
So I'm talking about a guy. His name is Fritz Harman.
Is what now?
Fritz Harman.
Fritz.
Haarmann.
Fritz,
Anyway.
like one of the Sound of Music kids.
Yes.
Fritz. Got it. Okay.
Yes. He is known as I think he started out as the Butcher of Hanover. And then after he went to trial, it became the Vampire of Hanover, the Wolf, or Werewolf.
Ooh.
So, yeah. He's loads of fun, let me tell you.
I'm guessing he was very stabby. Very bitey.
Bitey. Bitey is the word, yeah. He was born, his real name was Friedrich Heinrich Karl Harman. They called him Fritz for short.
I mean, I would too.
Yeah, I mean, that's an obnoxious name. I'm not gonna lie. That was extra. His parents were being extra AF when they named him.
I mean, what did they think he was gonna be? Like a politician or something? No. Obviously, he's gonna be a psychopath vampire.
Right. Just
There's
like,
no other
come on,
option.
guys. I know. So he was born October 25th, 1879 in Hanover, Germany, and he was the youngest of 6 children. His parents were Joanna and Ollie Harmon. And it said that he was a quiet kid, but he was very effeminate and basically a mama's boy. He was just all about his mom. He liked playing with dolls and needlework and cookery. So none of the things that little boys typically like from
are
back
supposed
in the
to
day.
like in the 1800s, right?
Exactly.
It's like, you're in the wrong time.
Yeah. And his teacher said that he was a, quote, spoiled and mollycoddled child who was prone to daydreaming.
Mollycoddled.
I know, I'm like, "What is that word?" Yes. Let's bring that back. He was also a below average student. He repeated, 1 year in school twice.
Oh.
Uh, but he was also molested at 8 years old by a teacher.
Oh
And
god.
yeah, and it was never really talked about.
Well, because they
So,
didn't then,
yeah,
so
yeah, I know. It's like, great. Yay. When you hear
alright.
things like that, you're just
You're
like,
like, "I get it, it's fine.
yeah.
You're allowed to go on a murder
Yeah.
spree, it's fine."
Yeah. So, he joined the military at like 15 to 16 years old.
I feel like that
And
didn't go well for him somehow.
no, no, it didn't. No. He joined the military in April of 1895, and after 9 months, he started having episodes that they really just kind of likened to it was like the equivalent of epilepsy.
Hmm.
And in November of the same year, he just discharged himself from the military. It was just like, I'm done with this. See you bye.
You can do that?
Apparently, well, he did.
I feel like they don't let you just quit. They're kind of
I
like,
know.
"No, you made a commitment, so
Right, right.
you gotta
But
stay."
I know it's like, I don't think that's how the military works, but whatever.
But maybe they were like, "Oh, that's too bad. Oh, thank God."
Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
That's
But he
funny.
committed his first sexual offense at 16 where he would lure young boys into cellars and then would sexually abuse them. And
Hmm.
he was eventually arrested in July of 1896. Did like a smidge of time.
Hmm.
Um, Wound up getting arrested again. And he
Well,
was
yeah.
placed in a mental institution in Hildesham in February of 1897, which was
I'm
the
gonna
following
bet
year.
that was a horrible place too. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And he was declared incurably deranged. So,
Oh.
unfit to stand trial and ordered to be confined indefinitely. But
I'm gonna go
in
with obviously they let him out or we would be
well,
done now.
not really. In January of 1898, which is the following year from where he was put in, he escaped the mental institution with help from his
Oh,
mother, and
mommy.
he fled to Zurich, Switzerland, and
Mm.
lived with a relative of his mom and worked as a handyman at a shipyard.
Hmm.
But then he returned to Hanover in 1899,
He was like,
and
they forgot about me. It's fine. I can go
yeah,
back.
it's like, their records probably not that great.
They've
But in
forgotten my face.
yeah, in early 1900, he seduced and then was engaged to a woman named Erna Lowert, and she became pregnant with his child while they were engaged. Then he
Oh,
was drafted
frisky.
into the military in October of
Wait,
1900.
wait,
Said
what?
he wasn't. Yeah,
They drafted a guy that discharged
yeah.
himself that had been committed
Mhm.
indefinitely. But they were
Mhm.
like, you know, yeah, we need you.
It's
Come.
fine.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm here for it.
it's fine.
Let's
I'm
keep on
telling you, this
going.
is this one's a little bit of a doozy. Yeah. They said he was an excellent marksman, and then he said it was the best time of his life. But
Oh
in
god.
October of 1901, he started suffering from dizzy spells. He was collapsed, hospitalized for 4 months, and then deemed unsuitable for service. So he was
Hmm.
dismissed in July of 1902.
Hmm.
And I guess because he served and it was like a health thing, they gave him a monthly pension and it was in gold marks. So I don't know how much that is. But it was like 20, I think it said 21, 21, 23 gold marks was
I
his monthly
that
pension.
sounds nice. I'll take that.
Yeah. So then he goes back to Hanover and he worked in his dad's cigar factory. But then he filed a lawsuit against his dad because he basically wanted to be declared unable to work. He wanted disability. That's basically what he wanted.
Well, I
He
mean, it
lost.
sounds like he needs it because he
I
crazy.
know, right? He lost the lawsuit. Then he got an actual physical altercation with his dad, but he pressed charges. Charges were dropped. And then in May of 1903, they had an exam and he was declared morally inferior but not mentally unstable.
I'm sorry, I need to go back. I'm having a weird Joe Allen moment.
God.
I
Oh, Joe.
mean, obviously, this is not you or Walt, but I can
No.
imagine some artificial third child that is Joe Allen's coming up and being like, "Dad, I I want to go on disability. I'm going to sue you so that I can, and unlike most fathers, she'd be like, you know what, son, there's something not quite right with you. I mean, you keep passing out and you can't do anything. Also, you're incurably deranged. All these things.
Yeah.
Instead of being like that, he takes the Joe Allen approach of walk it off.
I mean, basically. Yeah.
To the point of like being in a lawsuit and saying he can work,
Yeah.
he's fine. He just lazy.
Yes. I mean, yeah, kinda.
He had some. I bet if we
100%.
went back far enough, Claire, this is your family tree. Joe Allen descended from whoever dad was in this
This
scenario.
person. I mean, I think
Walk
we
it
do have
off,
some
son.
people I think we do have family that's from Germany, so it might be possible. I don't know.
I'm sorry, I
But
just tangent.
but
Ah.
so tangent, definitely. But so after they declared him morally inferior, but
Right?
not mentally unstable, his dad
I'm sorry. What
helped
does that
him
even mean? Morally inferior. You're incapable. It's
I
like, okay. His dad.
I
What does
I don't know.
Joe Allen's great 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 uncle say?
I don't know. I mean, I guess that just means like he he didn't have the best morals.
I mean, my guess
Would
is he
be like
doesn't
what I'm
know
getting
right
from that.
from wrong based on where we're heading, but
Yeah, he just doesn't care. I mean, that's what I'm like. I don't know. But anyway, so after that, his dad helped him open a fishmongery.
sure,
Yeah,
sure.
and he also, after opening the fishmongery, tried selling insurance. He was finally declared disabled, and his
Yeah.
monthly pension was increased. But his wife, Erna, who is pregnant, terminated the engagement. And because the fishmongery was in her name, she was like, "Get out."
Oh,
So she's like, "It's
it's her
mine."
fishmongery now.
Yes.
Thanks, Joe
So
Allen's great 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 uncle. For
I
setting
know.
this up for me. All
So for like
right.
the next decade, he's petty theft, burglary, he's a con artist. Um
As one does.
he yeah, he winds up getting jailed in 1913 for 5 years for this, any and all of these things, plus abuse and all that jazz. So he's in there for 5 years, so he basically gets to sit out World War One in jail. Um,
That's probably a good deal, honestly.
yeah,
It sounded like a mess.
right. And here's where there was a little discrepancy in this part of it, because one thing I read said he met this guy in jail, this guy named, I'm gonna say Hans Grans.
Of course it is. Sure.
It's Grans. So, um, one place said that they met in jail, and another thing said that they met, like, he met him at the train station, which is where he picked up a lot of his future victims, and I'll get to that in a minute.
Hmm.
But anyway, somewhere around 1918, he
Eh.
meets Hans Grans, um, and he also becomes a police informant. And the police would look the other way because he was informing on certain people about criminal activity, so they would look the other way with his criminal activity and his homosexuality because, that was, like, illegal back in the day.
I
So,
mean, all right, whatever. Sure.
you know.
Thanks, guys.
Uh,
Thanks for
I
looking the
know,
other
right?
way. It works out really
So,
well.
that brings us to 1918. And so from 1918 to 1924, he committed at least 24 murders, or at least that's what he was convicted for, possibly 27.
Hmm.
All the victims were between the ages of 10 and 22, and they were males. Majority were mid to late teens, and Harmon would lure his victims back to one of three addresses of where he lived in different places during this time. And he would use the promise of like monetary assistance, accommodation, work, or under the pretense of, I'm going to have your ass arrested. So,
If you
yeah.
don't come back to my house, which house are we gonna go to? This one. I'm gonna have you arrested.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure, sure, sure. I
So,
mean,
he would lure them back, give them food and drink, and then he would attack the victim, strangling them, and then biting their Adam's apple, sometimes completely biting through the Adam's apple and the trachea. Right. And he referred to this as his love bite.
oh my god.
I know, right?
I
Right. I mean, it's
And here I
like,
thought that
what?
drinking bugs in my cranberry juice was the most traumatic part of my
Right.
day.
He would then dismember them, grind them into meat that he would sell on the black market, and then dispose of the rest of them in the, is it Line, Leine river, or the last victim I think was found in a lake in the Herrenhausen Gardens. So he would just like make them into mush, get their bones and pitch them. I mean, it was just like, this is disgusting. So, lots of dead bodies in the river. So his first
Flashback.
victim, I
Flashback
know,
to Achilles and him fighting the river god or whatever. Like, I'm throwing my
right?
corpses in your river whether you like it or not.
I
All
know,
right,
right?
whatever.
So his first victim was named
Oh,
Friedel
dude, you can't see it
Roth.
because your camera's not working, but it just
No,
got really dark in here.
oh, get spooky.
Spooky,
It's
spooky.
spooky. But his first victim was named Friedel Roth, and in September of 1918 was when he met him, his 17-year-old runaway. Yeah, it was he disappeared on September 25th, 1918. And the friend told the police, like, hey, last guy we saw him with was
Fritz
Fritz
over here.
Fritz Harmon.
And they're all like, no,
Yeah.
he's fine. He's our informant. He would never do
Yeah,
anything
right.
super illegal.
And so finally, Ross' family pressured the police enough that they raided Harmon's apartment. And when they busted in, they found Harmon with a semi-naked 13-year-old boy, and so they charged him with sexual assault and battery, and he was supposed to have gotten 9 months.
Whoa, wait, wait, wait.
Mm.
They had sexual assault and battery of minors in
Apparently.
18 whatever, whatever.
It's probably because it was same sex. If it'd been a girl, it wouldn't have been a big deal.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, "Oh, we'll let you rape a female, but you can't do this to a
well,
male
but like
'cause laws were
13-year-old boys
atrocious."
are men by then, right? Like back then, weren't they like, yeah,
Mm,
you're basically grown. You're a man.
maybe, I don't know. Plus, this is
So
Germany. This is, like,
interesting.
Germany after World War One, so,
Uh,
like,
Still,
I
that
mean, like,
that goes
literally, like,
against
right after.
everything I know about Germany between World War One and World War Two, which is
I
nothing.
mean,
So
seriously,
that's
it's
fair.
it's like the year after World War One, you're just like, "Oh god."
Interesting.
So
Okay, okay, I'm here for it. Good job, Germany. I mean, no one else was.
so his first victim, they said he dismembered him and he buried him. So it didn't say where. I'm assuming it's like on the premise of his apartment complex somewhere. But get this. I guess later, when they did finally arrest him, he told the police that Ross' head was behind the stove wrapped in newspaper.
I'm sorry. What is that? Where you keep your heads?
Yes, apparently.
I like to
Not in a
wrap
jar in the
my
refrigerator.
No, you got to wrap them with newspaper and stick them behind the stove so they can get nice and warm and smelly. Ugh.
Right, and be disgusting. And
Bad
so
choice.
in one of the articles I read, they talked about how Hans Grons would choose the victims. Like he would go out because he was a fairly good looking dude.
Mhm.
He would go out and he would choose the boys based on jealousy of like how they looked, their clothes, or whatever they were possessing,
What
and so then
what
he'd
was he
lure them
getting out of
back.
the deal? Were they both having a grand time biting Adam's apples? Like what?
I don't. They never talked about Hans doing this stuff, but it was just
He
he.
picked the people to die, I guess. That's weird, but all
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But it also said that like Hans was like a sex worker. And see,
Sure.
this is where it was like discrepancy in where they met, because that one said they met in jail, but then it said this other one said that Harmon was avoided prison time for that first guy, but when they busted in and he was with the 13-year-old, for some reason he avoided prison time because of his informant status. And then this one said that he met Hans Grons, that he was a runaway from Berlin, and he claimed to the police that he was a heterosexual, but initiated contact with Harmon for sex work to make money
Hmm.
because he had heard, I guess Harmon had a reputation, so he had heard about Harmon's homosexuality. And so then it was like, then Grons became an accomplice. So I'm not sure if he met him. One said he met him in jail, one it was like after he got out of jail.
That's just
So
it's weird. That's
somewhere in
just weird.
1918, he met this guy.
And then they were weird together. All right. All
Yeah,
right.
and it said that they kind of had this on again, off again relationship, and that Hans was very manipulative and would kind of like make Harmon feel bad, Fritz feel bad. It was like on purpose.
Oh, poor
Would make fun of
baby.
him, it was just he was gaslighting, that kind of thing.
Right,
So,
right.
but all of the subsequent murders were of runaways, commuters, and male sex workers, and he picked them up at the railway station, and then he would either like keep the clothes as trophies if he really liked them, or sell the clothes, and then grind them up into meat and sell them on the black market because apparently meat was a hot commodity back in the
All I'm
day.
saying is, don't eat a frankfurter, because
Right?
it
It's like,
might be a
I
frankfurter.
mean, you're not wrong. And so
Great.
the murders basically this whole time went. So he's been doing this since 1918. They went unnoticed until May of 1924, and that's when people started finding human bones and washing up from the river. And on in all, over 500 human bones like were washing up downstream
Oh
of the
my
line.
god.
I think this line.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah. And so panic and terror gripped Hanover, and at that point, the citizens dubbed the killer the Butcher of Hanover because they didn't know how he was killing them at that point.
Mhm.
But uh, the local police wound up being found like unfit to continue the investigation
Well, I'm just
because
based on the stuff you've told me, I'm going with they were
well,
absolutely unfit to do any investigating.
it was because of like I think they realized that because there were so many reports of these people who are missing that people kept telling them the last person we saw them with was this Fritz Harmon guy.
And they're like, "No,
And
he's fine.
yeah, yeah, oh, he's fine because he's an informant. So they
He's
were
on our
found
side."
unfit. Yeah, and so they had two Berlin detectives come in to take over the case. So imagine like local police are doing a shitty job. Here comes the FBI. Kind of like Nelson County and the Crystal Rogers thing. I digress though. But anyway,
Another time.
so his last victim was a kid named Eric DeVries. He was 17 years old and he disappeared. Police started massive manhunt after that one. And they suspected Harmon because of the previous molestation crimes that he really didn't serve time for
Right.
because he just didn't. And because of the Ross situation, like that one, because the family did put so much pressure on the police for that one, the very first one that he
Yeah.
killed.
Right.
And so these two detectives, they start surveilling Harmon closely. And then June 22nd, 1924, he was arrested for trying to lure a person named Carl from the railway station. And they found him. It said detectives saw him attacking Fromm in a dark corner of the train station. So they arrested him. And said that Fromm had spent time at Harmon's apartment before. Why Harmon didn't kill him, we don't know. But he had been sexually assaulted. Harmon confessed that he did intend to kill Fromm, but for whatever reasons, his morals got the better of him for this one. So at one point, he was morally superior. If superior, I don't know. This one time.
This one time. All right.
So the police go back to his apartment after they arrest him, and they find blood all over the walls, which he claimed was from his illegal meat trade. He just doesn't saying that it was human blood, and he was like, "Oh, this is animal blood because I deal illegally on the black market." I mean, I don't know, but they did find the victim's clothes and their belongings, and after he was arrested, he quickly confessed to everything. And he said up at one point that the victims were like 50 to 70 of them, but the official police count was 24 to 27.
Hmm.
So he made it sound like it was more. Who knows? It might have been. They just didn't find the remains. I have no idea. But overall, he was cooperative in the investigation, and he helped them find the rest of the remains in the Line River. So he was a helpful
Well, I mean, I
prisoner, I
suppose
guess.
if you're going to be, let's see, um, what was the word? Im- something about being deranged at the beginning, impossibly
Oh, yeah,
uh,
undeniably deranged or something like.
undeniably deranged, and then
Yeah.
morally inferior, but also
Yes.
disabled. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, all right, yeah, whatever.
So on his
I'm glad he could
trials.
be helpful.
Yeah, I know, right? So his trial started in December 4th, 1924, and at this point, the term serial killer didn't exist, and there were no words to describe him except vampire or werewolf. And so that's
Vampire.
where,
I mean,
because
he
at
bit
first it
their
was.
freaking neck. I mean, like he went, "Honk," and
Yes,
like love
and he
bite.
called
It's
it
a
his
love
love
bite.
bite. His love bite.
Such a
Like, what?
vampire
What
thing to
the hell?
do.
Yes. Ew. Anyway, but so they didn't know what to call him. So that's where the Vampire of Hanover and the wolf and the werewolf came about, is because they did not have a term serial killer.
I'm
So it's like,
there. I'm with them. I mean, like, if there were ever a vampire serial killer, I mean, it sounds like him. He went
yeah,
straight for it.
I mean, 100%. He doubled down and leaned into that, I think. So, but so at the trial, he kind of threw Hans under the bus and accused him of doing some of the murders. But it said that also he was very arrogant during the trial, and he would just smoke cigars and insult anyone and everyone. And at one point, I guess he was on the stand, and they showed him a picture of one of the potential victims and asked him about it. And then it's a kid. He yells at the kid's father that he didn't do it because that kid was too ugly and that he would never
Oh
touch that. Yes.
my god.
Yes.
Is he Trump?
I mean,
I would
probably.
never love bite him. He's
No,
ugly.
he's
Like,
too ugly.
have
Yeah,
you seen him? Ugh. Never. Ew.
right.
Oh my god. Okay. I'm glad to know that that's
Yep,
just how things are.
I know. And so after he told them that Hans had helped with some of the murders, the court believed him, and Hans wound up getting life in prison, but that got shortened to 12 years. So, meh.
Same thing. Life, 12 years.
I know. And
Oy,
they were also
oy.
shocked. They were shocked to learn that Harmon had been an informant and had skewed the police view, even though multiple witnesses said they had seen victims with him. Like, more like, all these people are telling them, like, we've seen these people who have disappeared with this dude. And they're like, nah, it's fine.
It's, it's just a error in miscommunication. That's not what you saw.
Yeah. 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 The
You're
gaslighting is
wrong.
real.
Wrong.
Right. So the trial lasted 2 weeks and they had over 200 witnesses.
Oh my god.
I
Sorry.
know, right? I'm
You
like, that is obscene.
Well, and also what you don't know is I am battling the stupid lights in this room to make them turn on. I keep being
Uh,
thrust into darkness because all of our lights are connected to apps and the apps have minds of their
mm,
own. Stop it. No, oh god, now it's getting brighter. Ah! What is happening?
the robots are taking over.
They really are. It burns, it burns. No, I'm kidding.
So he was found guilty
Good.
for all but 3. So they were accusing him of 27. He was found guilty of 24. So that's why it was
Well, because
24 to
those
27.
3 were too ugly, Claire.
That's true. And he was sentenced to death by the guillotine.
Oh, very French.
So,
Very
right.
French.
So on April 15th, 1925, he was executed, and his last words were, "I repent, but I do not fear death." Like, that's all he had to say about it.
Because he's a vampire, so he's coming back. It's fine. It's fine.
It's true.
So you can cut my
His
head off, but,
I
you know.
know. Yeah, we're gonna cut your head off. It's fine.
It's
His
like,
remains
but
are
unless
buried.
you burn my heart and liver, I'm gonna keep on coming at you.
Yes. Oh wait, not his remains. The remains of all the victims
Mm-hmm.
are buried together at the Stokener Cemetery.
Sure.
Stockener, and the O has those 2 little dots over it. Whatever
Stuckner.
the
I don't know.
I know. Anyway, they have a large granite triptych. It's like 3 big things,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got their names and their ages. So there is this nice memorial
Aw,
to all these
that's
people who were murdered by him.
that's nice.
After after Fritz was executed, his head was kept in a jar to be studied because they wanted to know the structure of his brain.
I'm sorry. I love it. He kept his heads wrapped in newspaper behind the
Mhm.
stove. They kept his in a jar. Okay, great,
Yeah.
great. I love it. It's perfect.
Yeah, so his head was kept in a jar to be studied because they wanted to know the structure of his brain, and it was kept at the Göttingen Medical School until it was finally cremated in 2014.
Hmm. And then they fed the ashes with a mix.
And that is the tale of the Vampire of Hanover.
I love it. There's a vampire trying to get into the room right now. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Do 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 do. Do 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 do. It is a floofy vampire.
Oh, a floofy vampire
A floofy vampire.
by the name of Merlin.
Why, yes, yes, it is.
Ah.
But it was very creepy because as you're saying that, it's like little on the door,
Oh,
like
those
like the little
scratch,
tiny
scratch.
little like
Yep.
knocks on the door, and I'm like, what the hell? Boy, that was an excellent story, Claire. I had this weird deja vu moment of you telling me this story.
What?
It was weird. Yes,
Because I kept
like
telling you from the beginning I was gonna do Vlad the Impaler, and then I
I
was like,
know,
no, I'm
and
gonna switch it up.
and so you did switch it up. But as you were talking about like his early days, I'm like, Claire's told me this story before. So then, of course, I immediately had a flashback to our last week's episode, and I'm like, Has like 2 hours passed? What? Have I been abducted by aliens? When the
Right.
hell is happening? Oi, oi. But
But his
amazing.
story also reminded me of, I guess because of the whole, like, picking up strays and runaways at railroad railway stations.
Mhm.
The serial killer in the Soviet Union back in, like, the 70s, 80s, Chikatilo,
Oh, yeah.
and then Russia was like, "Serial killers, that's a completely Western
That's
concept."
totally American thing.
Yeah,
Only
that's
happens in
It only
America.
happens in America. And I
Which, I
forgot
mean,
that guy
fair.
killed like 70 people. I was
Yeah.
like, "Damn." But he killed women, mostly.
Yeah.
Women and children, little girls, yeah. The parallels though kinda reminded me, like,
Yeah.
the whole railway station and getting them alone, and you're just like, and then people just like them being like, "Oh, serial killers, that's not a thing." No. The same person didn't kill all these people. And then the Germans are just like, "Oh, this guy, he's an informant. That's not a thing. He didn't do this."
Yeah. Informants never
Because
do
he's an
anything wrong.
informant. Yeah. That's what it was just like, wow. You had to bring in the Berlin people to
Which says
get
something
shit
because
done.
there you have it. Well, I enjoyed our vampire episode. That was nice.
Yes. I know, like I
Especially
said, I
because
was
my lights kept going off and I'm like, I'm in the dark. You can't see anything but my pale ass white face glowing in the
right,
dark. Oi,
right.
oi, oi. All right, I guess now it is time for
Tarot time with April.
a spooky spooky.
That's spooky, spooky.
All right, Claire.
Let's go.
Last week was a good week. We had, I don't remember, let's see, the Page
We
of
had Page of
Wands,
Wands,
the
Emperor,
Emperor, and the
and four
Four of Wands.
four of Wands. Yep.
And it was creativity and confidence and harmony. And I'm not sure how much of that came completely to fruition because my week was a train wreck. But
Right.
I'm feeling good now. So I've at least entered the harmony stage.
Here you go.
All right, so I'm gonna start shuffling. Tell me when to stop.
Okay.
Do-do-do. It's the shuffling song where I throw the cards in the floor.
52 card pickup.
72 cards in the tarot
I don't know.
deck.
I was gonna say I don't know how many are in that.
I
Yeah.
think it's
Okay.
72, 74.
Stop.
Alright, alright. No whammies,
No
only good
whammies.
thoughts. Because
Right.
if those were good, happy, good cards, and they were, and I still had the week that I had, I can't have bad cards. Do you understand? Do you understand?
I do.
Alright. Here we go.
Yes.
How the hell did I do that?
What'd you do?
I pulled the Page of Wands.
What again?
I did. I did. I
Okay,
have
it's
now
still telling you
pulled.
you need to be more creative.
It's creativity time. Okay, it's fine. I like that. I'm here for that.
Yes.
Next is the Eight of Cups.
Did we have that?
I
No, we
don't
had
know.
8 of Pentacles. That's what it was.
Ooh, and the last card is Strength.
Ooh.
Ooh, and they're all upright.
Upright.
They are all upright.
Hey.
So let
That's
us
good.
have a nice reminder of the magic that was the Page of Wands. Because I liked that card, and it brings me great joy to know that I get to have another
Right.
few days to try and do
Like,
better.
oh, that's good. Okay. Let's continue. Let's continue with the
It
creativity.
is a fresh yet passionate outlook on life. Drawing this card indicates you have a creative spark in you, so go ahead and be spontaneous and follow your creative muse. So we're gonna, oh my god, stop it. You came in and then you went out. You can't come in again. Do you understand?
Oh, you have lost your
He does not
privilege to enter
understand.
this room.
Oh my god. I don't know if the mic can pick it up, but it makes me nuts.
I heard something. It's not terribly obnoxious, but I've heard it.
You're in. You're in now. You must stay in. We're almost done. We're at tarot card land, which is perfect for Merlin. Welcome, Merlin, to Tarot Land.
Yes.
I swear to God Almighty, if you scritch at that door again. All right. Stay. So,
Ready to be creative.
enthusiasm and exploration and discovery and creativity. Yay.
That's
So,
good.
we're going to try again on this whole creativity thing.
Yes.
All right. What I say is next? 8 of Cups.
Yes.
So, our midweek will be filled with the 8 of Cups. You may have realized that your current situation isn't working for you. Oh my God. Yes. Have you been to my job? And are deciding to leave it behind. Well, only if the lottery hits.
Right.
It may feel like a loss to you, but take this process of moving on as an opportunity for self-discovery. Escapism, change, transition, disappointment, and withdrawal. I can't say the word.
Withdrawal.
Thank you. my mouth will not move to make that word come out. I can say withdraw, but I can't say withdraw. Oh,
Withdrawal.
withdraw. Oh,
Draw.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
Like trying to say rural. I can't even do it either. Rural.
All right. So, well, apparently my work week is going to be exactly as I expected. Thanks. All right. Strength. We're going to end our week with strength.
Yes, we are.
Strength is about overcoming difficulties through inner strength. It's about taming your inner beasts to let your inner voice shine through. Your strength gives you the confidence to overcome any growing fears, challenges, or doubts. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Offer love, compassion, and forgiveness to others. So it's about inner strength, balance, power, energy, action, courage, conquering fear. So are we both quitting our jobs this week? Wouldn't that be a lark if we are on there? If our next podcast is, well, we won the lottery, so cool.
Or we have a giant multi-million-dollar sponsor.
Yes, please. We can just be
Or
like,
we have a giant multi-million-dollar sponsor for our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's been picked up.
That's right. We're rich.
Oh
my goodness. All right, so that is
I'm all about. I'm enjoying this tarot.
Yeah.
For this upcoming week, I can get behind that.
And bringing us back to us here. Yeah, I'm here for that. Give me some. I don't know. That midweek sounded a little bit of a doozy, but I'll take it if it means that I suddenly have the inner strength to be like, this is great. We're free.
Right.
If that midweek means lottery, I'm here.
Right.
Or sponsor, or I don't know, some relative that I don't actually know at all, have never met, magically leaves me millions of dollars. Fine.
Right.
I share with Claire.
That.
She's my bestie. We're gonna be fine.
That's right. You can get behind that. All right. So, are you ready?
Okay. I am ready. Because this week was great because it was stressful, but I enjoyed my vampire journeys.
Yes.
So, Will of Fate, do not let me down. Do you understand?
So,
okay,
are you ready?
Will.
Here we go.
Of Fate.
Let's see what we got.
Huh?
Oh, shit.
Uh-oh. Huh?
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
QAnon.
No! Oh, my God. That's going to be both amazing and horrifying at the same time. Wow.
I'm removing that one. I don't want to talk about that more than once.
Nope. It's a one-time deal.
Bitcoin more than once.
So definitely come back and join us for our next week's episode in which we go down the QAnon rabbit hole, which is pure insanity because there are lizard people And I promise I will talk to you about lizard people.
I don't even know where to start with that.
It's my absolute most favorite ridiculous thing. Lizard people. The lizard people, Claire.
Oh God. Oh, I don't even know what to say about this.
Only bad things.
Guys, join us next week because it really might be a dumpster fire.
We'll just have like a dumpster fire like GIF playing in the background the
Right.
entire time.
Have that dog that's like sitting in the fire, like, this is fine.
Everything's fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
All right. Until then, you can find us in all of the places. You can find us on Facebook at
Brunch and Judge.
You can find us on Instagram at
Brunch and Judge.
You can send us an email with your own personal judges because we will absolutely have an episode where we read off your personal judges. Or send us some excellent suggestions for our Wheel of Fate because once QAnon is gone, what are we going to do? What's left?
29 more subjects.
But send us more at
brunchandjudge@gmail.com.
If you are listening to us on the podcast, you can always watch us on YouTube at Brunch and Judge. Or if you're watching us on YouTube and don't want to anymore, your misfortune, but you can find us on all the podcast networks at Brunch and Judge.
Yep.
We have a
Just
theme.
go to like Spotify or Apple and type in Brunch and Judge, and there we are. It's like magic.
And we are starting to dabble in the TikTok. Can't guarantee there's one waiting for you just yet, because
we don't have time. It's
But
really time, guys.
We'll figure it out. It'll be fun. So, but find us on the TikTok and see if we're there yet.
I mean, there is one, but there's not like an actual video to watch. So
Yeah. You can find us at Brunch and Judge on TikTok. It'll be
that's right.
TikTok
We're just Brunch and
delicious.
Judge at all the places. Yep.
But until then, we'll see you next week, okay? So keep on brunching.
And keep on judging.
Bye.
Bye.
Brunch and Judge. Brunch and Judge. We brunch and judge everything and give you opinions that nobody asked for.